Invitation for the release of Nnamdi Kanu. I'd like to know, are you joining in that campaign for the president or the federal government to release Nnamdi Kanu? There will be protests in many parts of the country tomorrow, as we understand. What is your view about that protest and the agitation for the release of Nnamdi Kanu?
Shell, I think we should be discussing Anambra and forthcoming election. That's what you said this program is all about. And you're not going to drag me, get me to, if you like, get us distracted from that focus. I get on to Monday sit-at-home thing, which is very unfortunate. We've made it very clear, people, if you are...
Earlier, IPOB and its supporters accused Soludo of turning his back on Kanu and the agitation for self-determination. For example, back in 2021 IPOB claimed Soludo and others betrayed our leader, Kanu, because they said Soludo had pursued political and commercial interest at the expense of the Igbo cause. More recently, Soludo publicly distanced himself from separatist agitation, saying he doesn't support the movement calling for Biafra as a separate state. First off, let's identify the players. Chukwuma Soludo is the governor of Anambra state. He was once seen as one of the most promising Igbo leaders. Then there's Nnamdi Kanu, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, the group campaigning for Biafra independence. Now many in the southeast regard Kanu as a symbol of Igbo agitation, though opinions differ widely, even among Igbos themselves. Now ask yourself, if you were an Igbo youth who believed in Kanu's cause, and you saw Soludo once aligning with or at least not opposing that cause, but now you see Soludo publicly saying, no, I don't support separatism, what message does that send? Many feel it sends this message: Soludo has shifted from solidarity with the agitation to aligning with mainstream Nigerian politics, perhaps prioritizing his political future over the agitation. The claim of betrayal comes down to several factors. Kanu's supporters believe Soludo earlier had shown some sympathetic stance towards Kanu's release or at least the grievances of the Southeast, but now has adopted a different posture. For instance, IPOB blasted Soludo for betraying them after he reportedly said that criminals had hijacked the agitation. A group called the World Igbo Congress publicly condemned Soludo's behavior, saying he has betrayed Ndigbo, meaning the Igbo people, by shifting focus from serving his people to serving political interests. Soludo's own statements. He has insisted he doesn't support separatist agitation in the Southeast, emphasizing that the region needs Nigeria, one Nigeria, rather than secession. Now, for you watching, what does this mean in practical terms? Why should we care? First, because leadership credibility matters. If a leader campaigns on certain expectations, say, championing Igbo interest, and then seems to shift direction, it affects trust. Many young people in Anambra and other Igbo states are watching to see if Soludo will deliver on infrastructure, economy, fairness, or if his priorities have changed. Second, because it affects regional politics. The agitation for the release of Kanu, and the broader sense of the Igbo marginalization narrative, fits into how the Southeast engages with Abuja. If a prominent Igbo governor signals alignment with state structures rather than agitation, it might discourage certain movements, or conversely, spark backlash from youth who feel their views are sidelined. Third, the optics of betrayal for political gain. What might that look like? It could mean Soludo realizing that fully aligning with agitation may jeopardize federal support, or undermine his relationship with the central government, or even harm his prospects for higher political offices. Perhaps he's recalibrating to ensure he stays in power, secures projects, and is not seen as a disruptor. Of course, this is interpretative, but this is how many see it. Now, please, if you haven't already, pause and hit the like button, and don't forget to subscribe so you get more content like this. Let's go a bit deeper. What did Soludo actually say about the agitation? He told media that criminals have hijacked the cause of Kanu and IPOB, using it to commit crimes under the guise of agitation. So his argument is, yes, there is a legitimate voice, but the movement has been co-opted by criminal elements. So from his point of view, stepping away from full alignment is a protective and pragmatic measure. But critics say that kind of comment is itself a betrayal, because the leader who should empower the legitimate voice is the same who disowns it when it becomes inconvenient. They say, where was this hijacking narrative when youth were being arrested or when issues of Igbo marginalization were loud? And why now change the message? So for viewers, think about this. If you were Soludo, sitting in that governor's seat, what would you do? Do you stay in maverick mode, aligning with agitation and risking federal pushback and funding, or do you moderate your stance, keep federal relations cordial, deliver state projects but maybe annoy your base? That's the central tension here. Let's talk about possible implications. For Kanu and IPOB, this stance by Soludo may reduce the number of political allies they have inside the mainstream system. It may also heighten their dependence on grassroots support, and increase frustration among youth who feel unrepresented. For Anambra state politics, it might mean Soludo moves closer to federal structures, seeks more mainstream party alignment. He is a member of the ruling party at the federal level, and could prioritize economic growth over agitation. If this works, maybe state gains, but if many feel he has sold out, that could cost him goodwill. For Igbo regional identity, the message could be that the old catalytic figures, like governors, are less willing to engage with secessionist or radical voices, preferring stability. That may weaken agitation voices, or alternatively push them outside former political structures into more grassroots activism. Now I must emphasize, while many accuse Soludo of betrayal, we haven't seen concrete proof that he secretly colluded against Kanu. What we see are public statements and political maneuvers. Media coverage shows IPOB and related groups feel betrayed. For example, the Vanguard article quoted Wick accusing Soludo of wreaking havoc against his kinsmen. So the word betrayal is used by critics because they expected Soludo to act one way, and see him acting differently. Let's sprinkle in a related topic, the broader theme of political leaders and regional causes. In Nigerian politics, it's common for regional leaders to be elected on a platform of reform or ethnic/regional empowerment, but once in office, to face pressure from federal government, funding constraints, party loyalty demands. The Igbo cause, for instance, is one where socio-economic development is entangled with identity politics, agitation for recognition, and access to federal resources. So many see the behavior of Soludo as part of a larger pattern, promising change, aligning with local sentiment, but then upon taking power finding they must adjust to realities of Nigerian federal politics. If you look around, you'll find similar criticisms in other states where governors are accused of abandoning their campaign promises. So what should citizens do? For one, hold the governor accountable. If Soludo says he doesn't support separatist agitation but still pledges to uplift Anambra economically and protect the rights of Igbos within Nigeria, then focus on results. If he doesn't deliver on infrastructure, jobs, corruption reduction, then the argument of betrayal becomes stronger. For two, keep the agitation or the regional cause moving. Whether you support Kanu or not, the underlying issues of marginalization, youth employment, resource allocation, justice for Igbo people persist. Frontline voices may shift, but the root problems remain. For three, engage in dialogue rather than polarization. If one side says betrayal and the other says pragmatism, find common ground. How can the Igbo people achieve dignity and development within Nigeria? How can governors like Soludo deliver on state mandates without being boxed into federal-only agendas? Before we wrap up, a quick summary. Yes, many believe Governor Soludo betrayed Nnamdi Kanu because of his shift from apparent support or empathy for the agitation to publicly distancing himself, aligning with the federal position and labeling parts of the agitation as hijacked. His critics say this shift is for his political gain, staying in good favor with Abuja, protecting his governorship, focusing on mainstream politics instead of regional agitation. On the other hand, Soludo argues that separatist agitation is not the solution, criminals have exploited it, and his priority is the development of Anambra within Nigeria. So we have two narratives, betrayal versus pragmatism. As usual, I'd love to hear what you think. Do you believe Governor Soludo genuinely changed his stance because he saw the dangers of agitation? Or do you think he sold out the cause for his own political benefit? Drop your comments below. And again, like this video, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you're notified when I drop the next one. We've reached a good length for now. If you'd like, I can continue with some specific quotes from Soludo, IPOB, and track the timeline of his statements in more detail. Just say continue and I'll dive deeper. Thanks for watching.